Professor X plays 9 roles in the same movie. Hello and welcome to Movie Reviews by Josh. My name is Josh Terry, and today I'm going to be talking about the new M.Night Shyamalan movie called Split, starring James McAvoy as many characters. The basic plot of this one is that a deranged fellow with multiple personalities kidnaps 3 teenage girls and keeps them hidden away in a basement. And the 3 girls are led by a character named Casey, who's played by Anya Taylor-Joy, who you may remember from The Witch from about a year and a half ago, if you remember that one. Quite a frightening movie. This is not quite as frightening a movie. What's interesting about this one is that the premise is very scary. It's a guy who has multiple personalities and he's got teenage girls who are locked up in the basement. And yet, for some reason, and I think I know the reason, but I'm going to get to that later, Shyamalan doesn't make things as frightening as he could. You would think that in this kind of a situation, you would stay, as an audience member, in the camera perspective, you would stay with the girls in the basement in a claustrophobic situation the whole time. But Shyamalan doesn't do that. He actually takes us outside of the basement so we can see. Kevin is the name of the character that McAvoy plays, the original human being, who is now split into 23 different personalities. And Kevin is actually getting psychological counseling from a psychiatrist who believes that people with multiple personalities are actually tapping into unprecedented human potential. And so there's kind of that angle as well. Anyway, because we're going outside of the basement, because we're learning more about James McAvoy's true character, it's not nearly as frightening. It's not nearly as claustrophobic. It is suspenseful and it is creepy. And I mean, this movie, it does get into areas like cannibalism and abuse and obviously kidnapping and things like that. And so it is a dark movie. It is scary, but not as much as it could be. Now, the ultimate idea is, okay, well, so are these girls going to get out alive, or can they use one of the more sympathetic personalities of James McAvoy to convince him to let them go, something like that. In the meantime, basically what's happened, to kind of cut to the chase, is that 2 of the darker personalities of the 23 have taken over, and that the ones that are willing to behave and that are working with the psychiatrist, they've kind of been pushed into the background, and these 2 dark personalities called Dennis and Patricia have now taken over, and they're the ones who decide to go and kidnap the girls. And they keep telling the girls about this beast that is on the way. And so kind of the suspenseful nature, aside from the girls that are kidnapped in the basement, is what's going to happen when the beast arrives. Is the beast real? Is it another personality? Is it something else? And that's what we don't really find out until towards the end of the movie. And of course, I'm not going to tell you about that. What I am going to tell you is that there is a twist. Okay, so that's kind of the extent of the spoiler, is that this movie does end on a fairly significant twist. And depending on your past experience with M. Night Shyamalan's movies, that is really going to make the difference with how you take this one. Now, I personally wound up giving it 3 stars out of 4 because I felt like the twist made the movie worthwhile. I think without it, there's a little bit of kind of open-endedness that feels a little unsatisfying. And honestly, if you're really sensitive to subjects like abuse and mental illness, this movie, you might not really take to it. And so I would keep that in mind. But those things aside, this is another step, I think, in the right direction for Shyamalan, because he kind of wavered for quite a while there. I was a big fan of his with Sixth Sense and Unbreakable and Signs. But it seemed like every movie in sequence got a little bit worse. The Visit a couple years ago was actually quite good, and I felt like that was a step in the right direction. It was about the 2 kids who were on a week-long vacation with their grandparents, or are they? That was, if you haven't checked that one out, that one's kind of getting Shyamalan back on track. And The Split, I think, is a further step in the right direction. So now I've already talked about the content a little bit, but this movie is rated PG-13. It is not extremely graphic. It's more suggestive. It's more the subject matter is a little bit more creepy. There is some violence. There is some profanity. I don't remember a whole lot outside of kind of the normal PG-13 realm. Again, also with sexual content, more suggestive than it is explicit. But it's definitely not a soft PG-13. It's the kind of movie that you want to take some things into consideration, depending on your own levels of sensitivity. Yeah, so there's Split. Thanks for watching the video. As always, be sure to subscribe so you can get more of our videos as they come out. Keep your notifications on so you can know as soon as they're uploaded. And we'd like to thank our sponsors at Rockagator once again before we go, and take it easy.